Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you've been with us before, welcome to the channel if this is your first time. As you've already seen, we are Lealan Presents. We thank you for joining us. I am Alan, I'm one of the hosts, and this is Leanne, the other host. There's only two of us, apart from Rags, who hasn't made an appearance in a video in a few days now. So
I know.
Well, I don't think
jinx it.
I don't think he's been in any of our horror movie
I
clash.
think he was in the first one, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, so if you've not seen the previous 3 installments of this 5-part series, I will whack a link just there in that top corner for you to go and check them out. So the way that we're doing this is we've taken 16 horror movies from 2023, UK release dates, because I think some of them might have released a bit differently in America, especially some of the earlier films. And we've not seen them before. We are going in blind almost. We may have seen 1 or 2 trailers. I may have handpicked a couple without Leanne even knowing about some of them, which will obviously, there's one in this particular one which was interesting. But we've gotten to the last 4, so we're watching them in order of release date. We haven't seen them before, and we're rating them on a 6 category scale, as it were. Spook/gore factor, story, sound, acting, villain, and visuals. Those are our 6 topics. We give them an individual score. We don't tell each other our individual scores. We don't talk about the movies if we can absolutely help it. Sometimes you can't get away with it, like Queen Mary, for example. When something's that bad, I guess you kind of have to.
Yeah, you have to share the pain.
Yeah, and then obviously they accumulate to a grand total of a maximum 30 points per movie. So this will be the last delve. We're not going to give any of the scores here in this video for any of the ones that we've seen, the last 4 films here. Speaking of, I'm going to just whack up the previous brackets there. So that's where we currently stood with our 12 at the moment, and these 4 will supplant into those gaps somewhere in there. And then the next video, part 5, which will drop in just a few days, if that, will be, well, it'll be on Halloween, so you'll be able to get some good spooky stuff and see what our favourite, our deemed worthy of, oh my god, that was the best horror film of this year thus far. The ones we haven't seen, things like Saw, Exorcist, Believer, we haven't seen any of those ones. There's a lot of other horror films which we kind of saw trailers for, which we kind of like, but they could be interesting, but we did that on a rating scale as well, so we haven't seen those, so we're not gonna rate them on this.
We didn't have time to watch everything.
No, I know. There's too many. Ideally, we would love to do like a 32 film and just have this massive bracket. But then these videos would get ridiculously long.
Yeah.
As it stands, last year was only 3 parts. The first 2 covered 8 films each, and they got to 2 hours each. So that's why we've cut them down into an hour block this time around.
Yeah.
So that's enough babbling and rambling. That's what it is. In the finals, we'll obviously pit them off head to head in the bracket, and we'll see then sort of who becomes the best film of the year for us.
Before you go any further, beware of spoilers. We're going to talk about the films, so if you haven't seen them and want to see them, probably wait. Go see them first, and
then come back and watch it. I guess the downside is we're not going to say what the films are until we go, and the next film is. And speaking of the next film that we watched, which was released on the 8th of September, is The Nun 2, part of the Conjuring universe. I don't really remember much of The Nun, the original The Nun.
No.
I remember I didn't like it as much as the Conjuring movies, or the Annabelle movie.
Yeah.
The second Annabelle film wasn't that great. The third one I felt was really good, because it kind of showed the origin, but we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
Anyways.
So, I'm going to be using my phone for little bits of this. So basically, I'm going to read the synopsis off of IMDb for each film to give it a little bit of background, to kind of give you a bit of information about the story and where it's coming from. So, for The Nun 2, we've got 1956, France. A priest is murdered. An evil is spreading. The sequel to the worldwide smash hit follows Sister Irene as she once again comes face to face with Valak, the demon nun. Yeah.
Alright, so, spook/gore factor.
Yeah.
This film didn't waste any time.
Yeah, nope.
Very near the start, I think it's the cold open, I believe, and we already get a death, and it's pretty gruesome. Burning people.
Oh, that was the priest, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's right, in the church. Yeah.
Burnt
You think the priest would be safe in the
alive.
church, wouldn't you?
Wow,
That kind of adds to
demon
that.
doesn't care
Yeah,
about that.
well, that kind of adds to that tension, that spook factor, though, is that they think they're safe there, and it's like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah. As you'd expect with The Nun, there's a lot of creepy imagery. Just the face is pretty scary, and it sort of turns up in places, like with the magazine rack, with the pages flipping, and then it's a shape that looks like the nun, and then she sort of comes out of it. So there's a lot of stuff like that where it's used well, the imagery.
Yeah.
Although I did find that a lot of those moments were in the trailer, so it kind of spoiled it a bit, because those magazines flipping, it's like, oh yeah, I remember what happens here, so you know exactly what's coming. So it did pull away from that a bit. But, I mean, that's not the film's fault, it's it's trailer stuff. The use of children, again, a lot of the films we've had this year have focused on or had children involved.
I think it's to do with the innocence of children.
Yes, and it just adds a bit of creepiness, because kids are creepy.
I mean, yeah.
Something about them. So is the scene in the chapel with the goat in the window, being like the demon, and then later on the goat isn't in the window anymore, and then you have the weird goat creature with his long limbs.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were some scary bits. It didn't scare me as much as I thought it would going into this. With the Conjuring series, we've probably discussed before that Annabelle freaked me out like crazy. So, and I think the first Nun film had moments where I was pretty freaked out, but this one didn't, not so much. Maybe because I knew what to expect, because I've seen it before.
Yeah.
Seen The Nun, not this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all.
That's what happens when I go first.
the hook to the face, though, there was some pretty good brutality with that. When the sort of the principal or boarding school,
the madame,
whatever, I don't really know what the term for that would be, and she goes into the sort of chapel where her son was killed, and she's obviously being baited there, and she gets knocked to the floor, and this hook of like construction hook just straight into her face, and it's like, oh, you don't really see much, but you kind of see the spasming of the body, because it goes from that sort of feet angle towards the head. So you kind of see the of blood and the body twitch, which is really a cool effect.
Yeah.
You kind of see it, but you don't see it, but your mind kind of fills in the blanks, which kind of works to a really good effect.
Yeah.
As you said, it didn't really feel as spooky as I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more.
Yeah. I think it's because we've seen her before. There wasn't much different. Or like it didn't escalate the situation much from the previous film.
A part of this kind of almost felt a bit more like an action movie to me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which disappointed me.
Like investigating.
Yeah,
and...
I'm not gonna lie, it did disappoint me. Well, not so much investigating, just like the end. It's like, right, we're gonna fight this thing, and she's there, and she's trying to square up to it, and it's like, well, it's not Rocky. You're not going into a boxing match against another opponent. It's a demon.
Yeah.
You know, I felt that kind of took me out of it a bit.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, story. And it was quite a good story.
Yep.
And the characters were well developed and backstories, both the existing characters from the last film and the new ones introduced. You sort of felt quite close to them. You knew what was happening and why. A bit of bullying thrown in with the kids always makes you just ramps up that empathy, because you don't want to see a kid getting bullied. The thing that pulled me out was how convenient the Deus Ex Machina, the fact that Irene is the descendant of Saint Lucy.
Yeah.
So all this time, it's not like she'd been pulled into the situation because she's the the descendant of Saint Lucy, but it just happened to be this random coincidence, and how she realised it in that moment doesn't really make any sense to me. She's just like, wait, my mother said I had her eyes, so she must have been descended from St. Lucy. And like, really? But maybe the relic, the eyes, gave her that revelation. But it was a bit like...
ham-fisted.
Yeah, and it made that fight end really quickly. It's like this... I think I go into it in my villain notes as well, but the nun gets the eyes, becomes really big, and then is defeated almost immediately.
By wine.
By wine, because they pray over the wine and transubstantiation for you Catholics out there. So yeah, it's sort of it's a bit anticlimactic. And again, I have mentioned the stuff that was brought up in the trailers. And the other bit that I was like, oh, okay, is this is in the Conjuring franchise, which this whole time is focused on the Warrens.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
And their antics and demon
well,
hunting and
they're actual paranormal.
Yes.
They were actual paranormal investigators in the 70s, 80s, 90s.
But the only thing we see of them is in the mid-credit scene where they get a phone call from a priest and like, what do you need? And that's it. And it's like, well,
But then saying that, I felt that kind of lent quite nicely into it, because we know there's another film coming.
Yes.
We know there's another Core, and this is the last Core Conjuring movie. Vadak has been in, I think it was Conjuring 2 the first time you see the nun.
Yeah.
So it's not like they haven't encountered this before.
No, but I like, they're such good characters.
Yeah.
And...
But then this leads now into people going, oh, Conjuring 4's coming out. We've got to see this to see where this is. And hopefully they'll put a nice punctual exclamation mark onto it.
Hopefully.
Because I felt this fell flat.
Yeah.
I really did.
I don't know how much they get paid just to do like a very brief mid-credits.
Well, the thing is, if they're already filming the movie, they can
just
and just clip it in. So they probably get maybe percentage of royalties, maybe. I don't know.
A little disappointing.
Yeah. I did like the story recap right at the beginning.
Yes.
But it was one of the nuns telling the story to the other nuns. I think it was the madame telling the other nuns, wasn't it? Oh no, it was in the church. It was in the church, yeah. So it was like one of the main head nun telling the other nuns the story. And obviously Irene just sort of stood off on the side and she's like, what happened to the nun? Nobody knows it's her kind of thing.
Yeah.
The dream sequence that she had,
yes,
I felt that was very Nightmare on Elm Street, and I really liked that, the way that she's sort of awake, or you feel that she's awake.
Yeah.
But then she wakes up, and it's like, oh, it's a dream sequence. But wait, she's still in the dream sequence. And it was like, oh, that was great. I really liked that effect. I thought that was good. It reminded me of, like, as I said, Nightmare on Elm Street with the Freddy Krueger, not quite knowing whether they were awake or not, you know? The one thing I really liked with this, and given the fact that it is sort of based in the 50s as well, the church is male dominant, right? 9 times out of 10, women don't have any say in the church, right? So having this as 2 female nuns going to this boarding school to try and sort this out at the Vatican's wish breaks that mold for me. I really like that. It's not just going, oh, well, it's... Not to badmouth Pope's Exorcist, because I really did enjoy that as well, but it was all about the Exorcist, Maud, right? This is 2 females in the 50s doing the church's will at the request of the Pope.
Yep.
I bet that never actually ever happens, ever. Even today. Ever.
Probably not.
Guarantee it. So I really did like that spin on it.
Nice.
And the flashbacks were used to a good effect. It wasn't like, let's flash back and do like a 10-minute exposition. It was flashback, glimpse, back to the normal. Flashback, glimpse, back to normal. It was kind of like snippets, but you kind of pieced them all together. And I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, cool.
And then obviously the other bit was about the Warrens, but we already covered that. So.
All right then, sound. Tension setting music, used to good effect. I found there was the bit where you had the goat demon thing upstairs and the schoolgirls are in the dorm rooms and you can hear the footsteps, but it's not like your typical footsteps.
It's like hoof steps.
Yeah, you can definitely tell there's more than 2 feet going. So I think that was good. They could have very easily just done bumps and not made it sound like a goat.
It's almost like a clip clop kind of.
Yeah, it's good. And demon voice, love a good demon voice.
Yeah,
that's sort of all I got though.
I mean, I put there was some good sound effects, because there was, as you say, but at some points in the movie there was too much going on, and they kind of all got lost amongst each other.
Yeah,
I felt so nothing really stood out.
Yeah.
It's like you've got all this noise going on, the screams, the whoos, all the other clatter and stuff. You kind of lose a lot of that, and it just becomes a jumbled, thudding mess.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of perceived it, and it's a shame because it could have been really good.
Yeah.
But nothing stood out, as you say, the hoof things. But that's not enough to really go, oh yeah, that was really good. Let's up the mark on this one.
Yeah.
You know? I just think it become a bit of a jumbled mess in places.
Bit average. Yeah.
Mid.
Acting.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yep.
In particular, Irene did a fabulous job. Excellent work. Like the emotion that she shows is brilliant. And the girls as well, the school girls.
Yeah.
You've got to give sort of extra credit for child actors. I feel like when something's good, if they're kids, it's like extra good.
Yeah, because they're not as experienced as some of the other actors, actresses, whatever you want to call them.
And I don't think any of them gave a bad performance.
No. I did the same pretty much. They was really good. The demon goat was the demon goat / devil, because they did reference it as the devil at one point. And that was interesting, and the actor in that must have had some contortionism skills or something to be able to run like that.
It's so weird.
Because I don't think that was CGI. I reckon that was a costume. They looked like a proper practical effect.
Little stilty bits on.
Yeah, but I thought it was really great. I thought I really loved that. I thought that was fantastic. But in terms of standing out, I don't think anyone really went that extra mile to stand out. Irene did a good job. The actress who plays Irene did a good job, but I don't think it was enough to boost that up even further. There wasn't like, oh, that was an outstanding performance, you know. It was really good, but in my mind it wasn't like, oh, that was you know, and it didn't quite hit that mark for me.
Fair enough. Villain. So I have said, like I've already said a little bit repetitive, that the nun's not much different from how she was in the first film. I know it's the same character, but the only real change is that she's now moving because she's attached to Maurice. So I would have liked to seen more of what she could do with the eyes. So when she's got that power boost, all we saw different was she got bigger.
And her eyes glowed a bit more.
Her eyes glowed a bit more, yes. But that was cut short by how quickly she was defeated by the wine. And
it kind of going back to when she does get the eyes, it kind of felt that, oh, this is sort of, okay, we're going into the last act now.
Yeah.
And you felt like there's another like 20 minutes to go. But it was actually only about 5, and it was like...
It ended so quick. They could have done a lot more with it.
What just happened? You know, that kind of thing. The one thing I didn't particularly like was the way she was possessing multiple people.
Yes.
I really didn't like that.
Okay.
I felt it kind of cheapened it. Because it's supposed to be this one sort of entity that's doing everything, but yet she's possessing others to do the bidding, and it just felt really cheap. I really didn't like that.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And deflated by some wine, or defeated by some wine after showing all that power. That felt completely lackluster.
Yeah.
And I get the religious connotations to it. It's the blood of Christ and all this kind of stuff. But no, that was awful.
Yeah, it was.
That's like it's almost David and Goliath, right? Where you've got this like massive hulking giant and a little boy, and he throws a stone at him and it kills him.
Yeah, because in the first one, they used the blood of Jesus to defeat the nun first, but it didn't get defeated because it went into Maurice. So why did the same thing work this time? I know it's more, but they had the relic that was supposed to be super powerful, and that did something, but wasn't enough. So why did it go back?
And it's like you said, I think, I can't remember if it was an acting or villain, I can't remember what you say about it's the same character, it's the same demon figure.
Yes.
But so is Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But all 7 films have a very distinctive feel. So does Freddy Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
But all the Fridays have a different feel. Michael Myers.
This felt a bit like the same film.
Yeah. Same film, different setting, even the same outcome. You know, Yeah,
okay. Visuals. The goat thing looked a bit weird, but like you say, it's practical effects.
Yeah, I liked it though. It
creepy.
looked weird enough that it's not meant to look human.
No.
And it kind of
Unnatural.
did do that. It absolutely nailed that.
And if that was practical effects in a costume, great, good stuff.
I will pick up the Blu-ray of this when it does sort of eventually hit the shelves, because I want to complete the Conjuring collection. I've got all the others so far. I think the only one I haven't got the one is Curse of La Llorona, but I think that's only tentatively sort of linked to it.
Yes.
But it'd be interesting to see the making ofs on this, to see what it's like and sort of how they did it.
I mentioned before about like the nun shapes in the background. So where I think it was it was the little girl. I can't remember the name. She saw the nun like at the top of the stairs.
Yes.
And then it was a shape in the wall, just like in the damp. But it was too close to how the nun looked.
I agree.
The magazine's a bit different because that was very much a supernatural thing, and all the pages were flipping and it was weird. But that stain in the wall could have
very
been
specific.
Less. It could have been a bit more subtle.
Yeah, you could even see the cross that hangs around. It's like, come on.
That's not a thing where you see this damp patch it's just a damp patch.
So
that's like, why is there a nun on the wall?
It's like it's called matrixing, where your brain sees something and perceives something different, and it fills in the blanks.
Yeah.
There were no blanks there. You could see everything. There were no
it's
blanks.
like someone painted it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that I didn't like very much.
Yeah.
But other effects were really good, like you said, with the hook hitting the teacher lady in the head. Burning looked great.
Yeah, that looked cool.
Both when the nun was burning, the priest in the beginning burning, and when her dress is burning, but she's not because she's descended from St. Lucy. But it looked great, so...
Yeah. I think my favourite one in this was the magazine wall. I thought that was fantastic. I have no idea how the hell they did that.
Oh.
But I'm keen to sort of learn that.
Yeah.
And the nun, when she sort of gets the eyes, it kind of looked like she was an angel.
Yes.
with a light glowing behind her, which was kind of like, ooh, that's interesting.
They did mention that she was probably a fallen angel before.
Yeah. The one major thing that pulled me down this, and I had to push it back to sort of show you this, because I saw it, I don't think you missed it the first time. There was a huge graphical glitch behind Maurice in that fight scene. And it was like, what the hell is that? I literally had to, hang on, clicked it back like 10 seconds. I was like, that's a graphical glitch. That's wonderful.
Could that have just been on the copy we had, or?
I don't know.
But yeah, it pulls you out because you noticed.
Well, it was a streaming service, so yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Any final thoughts on that one?
Bit disappointing. It wasn't a bad film, but I expected more from it.
I probably wouldn't want to watch it anytime soon.
No.
Again, I probably will in time, but not this soon, you know? So my watch is vibrating like crazy. Go shut up. Okay, so a week later then, on the 15th of September, we've got Elevator Game.
Yes.
So this, I'm going to again read the synopsis from thing. A supernatural horror based on the eponymous online phenomenon, a ritual conducted in an elevator which players attempt to travel to another dimension using a set of rules that can be found online. So the basic premise of this, and I did look into this because we were talking about it, anyone who is into their paranormal or mystery kind of spiritual or supernatural kind of things will know the name Eliza Lamb, who disappeared in the Cecil Hotel with that footage of her in the elevator where she sort of hits buttons, she looks out and it's like she's terrified that something's following her almost. Then she leaves the elevator and is missing for a few weeks, if I remember rightly, if not months. Then the tenants of the Cecil Hotel was saying that the water was tasting funny and it was turning different colours. They found Eliza Lamb's body in the water tank on the roof. This is where that's come from. It became big, popularly sort of phenomenon in Korea at first.
Yeah.
So this is where it's come from.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right then. Spook/gore.
Yes.
There was some good tension building in parts.
Yeah.
It's.
We should probably preface this with it was extremely low budget, right?
It was real low budget. That's fine. There was some gore, but you didn't really see an awful lot, which I guess comes down to the budget. But you knew that it was happening. There was a part where the spirit's hand goes like through the guy's face.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty
cool.
cool.
Was it face or neck? I think it was neck, wasn't it?
Was it neck?
I think it was neck.
That looked pretty good. It cut away pretty quick, so you couldn't analyze it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only way they could do it. So that was pretty cool. Final segment I've said was awful, and now I can't remember what the final segment was. What happened at the end? They went back in the lift.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. That's how we felt about it.
Well, they final segment. I can't remember. Damn. That's how memorable this film is.
Oh, I know. I think it might have been mid-credits potentially, where someone else goes into the elevator and is filming herself on live stream saying, this bunch of kids did the elevator game and all went missing. And then she goes to press the first button and the demon's hand presses the button instead.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
That's not how it works.
I'm wondering if it was supposed to be symbolism of the demons become, or the whatever it is, the fifth floor spirit, whatever you want to call it, became so powerful from feasting on all the others.
I suppose.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a stretch.
It was just like a
stretch.
Obvious jump scare at the end. It was meant to be.
It's a stretch because like when you stretch out to reach it, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
That's it from me.
So yeah, some of the gore was decent. Like you said, the hand with either the throat or the face. We can't remember exactly which one it was. That was decent. It wasn't really spooky.
No.
In my opinion, I see where they tried to go spooky, but I think it was drawn out too much in places.
Yeah.
The first time they play the elevator game, and they've got that again, the kind of low rumble frequency, the low frequency to try and make you uncomfortable, and they're going up and down, they're pushing the buttons, and it's like, ooh, this is supposed to be spooky, and it's like, no, it's not. It's really not.
Yeah. Okay. Story. Some very obvious twists.
I just want to get this out of the way because this is the first note I put in.
Here we go.
The guy with the earpiece.
Yes.
Why is he wearing it 24/7?
Because he thinks he's one of these tech dudes.
Yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah.
That really grated on my nerves really badly.
Yeah. Bluetooth.
Sorry, I just had to get that in.
Fair enough.
I can't repeat what I've actually written on my notes for it. So I want to keep this video as PG as possible.
So we've got the group of content creators.
Yeah.
And then the guy who comes in to help, he's volunteered to help. And when they're asking for ideas for the video, he's very quick to talk about the elevator game and the girl who went missing. And instantly I'm like, well, he's clearly trying to investigate the person who's missing. He's probably related to it. And lo and behold,
boom, nailed it.
Yeah. So some very easy to guess twists. I feel they were clutching at straws a little bit.
I think
like they wanted to make something about the elevator game, and they're like, how are we going to make this a full film?
Yeah. And it's like, it's obviously this is based on a phenomenon, and same with Lights Out.
Yes.
That was a very short movie. That was like 3-4 minutes long originally. It was a very short film. But they did a really good job of fleshing that out to an hour and a half, hour 20 movie, whatever it was. This...
Not so much.
What you probably could have done is kind of speculated the story behind Eliza Lamb and made it about Eliza Lamb.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting it to be,
That's
to be honest.
probably the better way to do it.
Yeah.
They didn't even mention the name Eliza Lamb once.
The rules, the elevator game rules, I feel like didn't work.
No.
It seemed to be the way that they said you do it, you press the buttons. When you get to press 1 at the end, you end up going to 10, and that's where you go into the world, and that's how the game's played.
Dimensional, red world, whatever.
Red world. But even the one who did it right and got to the red world, they were still being hunted by the thing as if they'd done it wrong. And then they were like, oh, we need to close the door. We have to play it again. But how does playing it again finish it?
My thought on this is that there isn't a way to survive it. Once you've opened the door, that's it, you're done. It's like The Grudge. You step in the house, there's no way to break the curse. You are gonna die.
So it's a no-win scenario.
Yeah. So what if somehow this spirit got this game into the world to feed?
Yeah.
That's the only way I can make it make sense.
Yeah, maybe. There wasn't really a resolution.
No, there wasn't. Everyone died.
Usually you get one person survives and tells the tale or seeks revenge or something, but no, everyone died.
See, the thing is, right, I would like that. I'd like that in a horror film. It's a twist. It's something different. Woman in Black, Daniel Radcliffe's character, dies.
Yeah, he dies at the end.
I think it's great. Fantastic. Don't leave any witnesses to stop the curse. This just awful.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Have you got anything else on the story?
When the security guards kind of go around, they're hiding in the corners, like, okay, that was weird. But then when the boy, the brother, gets to the red world and he's trying to hide from the ghost, he hides behind a chair.
Yeah.
That was stupid because you could still see pretty much 90% of his body. Like, what?
Yeah.
Too many plot holes.
Yeah.
How do you survive? Origin of the Ghost was interesting.
Yes,
I quite like that bit. But it almost feels like it was we need an origin. What can we do? Afterthought. Let's chuck it in there.
Yeah.
There was other clues to it which we'll cover in visuals, which is probably
Yep. Okay. Sound. The music wasn't bad.
Oh, I put the music as horrid.
I think they were going for elevator music, but it didn't really sound like elevator music. It was just like, I don't know.
It sounded like free stock music you get off of
it probably
Shutterstock or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah. It's nothing really of note. And then going back to that final segment, which I already didn't like, the scream they used there was so fake. It was they had proper screams, like actual acting during the rest of the film. So why was that last one so obviously just like you say, Shutterstock?
Yeah. I put the music's horrid, but I did feel the music did take a turn for the better during the Red World segments. It felt a lot more imposing.
Weirdly, it's like they were editing half of it and then got to a point like, wait a minute, let's use something different.
Or someone went, I quit, screw this, and a different idea came up.
Maybe.
You know, that's what it kind of felt like, because it felt like two very distinctive feelings. And I'm not sure if that's maybe what they were going for between the normal world and the Red World, I don't know. But yeah, I've literally got, music was horrid, it got better with the Red World because it became very imposing and very dark. But everything else was just naff.
Yeah. Pretty bad. Talking about naff. Acting. Oh, it's pretty bad. So there were some okay moments, but to me it felt like we were watching a college film project.
Yeah. I've seen better stuff on YouTube. Go watch Marble Hornets.
Yeah, it was sort of, it was when the moment that got me was after most of the friends had been killed and the brother is meeting the techie girl.
Chloe.
Yeah, in the relaxation space or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, he says, let me talk to you, let me speak. And she's like, okay. And then she sits on a chair, straight back, arms folded. And I'm like, that's not how normal people sit. It's stuff like that. It's that people who are learning acting right at the start, that is where you think you know how people act, but it's a very exaggerated kind of form of it.
Yeah. It's almost like, I get the feeling they've done drama in school and they've done for stage acting, so you kind of have to over accentuate things.
That's what it is.
That's kind of what
it's
it felt like.
Stage acting, okay.
And it doesn't work in a film like this. You have to temper it down, you know. The girl at the start, straight off the bat, was just awful. She wasn't very believable in the slightest. It was mid at best until at least the third act, when it did seem to pick up. When the spirit became a lot more full tilt, shall we say.
Yeah.
I did feel that some of the performances picked up, but there was, again, moments like that where she's like...
like the high tension moments were better. They were sort of felt like they were actually running for their lives kind of thing.
And like, you felt that as well when they were running down that stair, down the fire escape, and then across the street. You could feel that they were giving everything. They weren't just going... It was like, literally, they were going for it, you know. And I appreciated that part of the performance.
Because in those scenarios, you are over the top naturally, so it works.
And the one thing as well with the guy on the phone, he's sort of guy, and he's trying to call that bus thing, and he's like 55-minute wait. Oh, come on, he's got it down. Oh, she's raining, and then he picks it up, and it kind of glitches, and then obviously he's just going, huh? Who uses their phone like that? You know, that threw me out as well. Marty, I think his name was.
I think so. All right. Villain. It's a bit of a higher point. Really intriguing concept, like you said, with the backstory of the fifth floor woman.
I mean, spoiler alert, this got my highest rating of the entire thing, so.
Yeah, I could imagine that. So she has this backstory. It doesn't really link to why it's anything to do with the fifth floor, but that's fine. It's the game. She made it, I suppose. The movement looked really good. There were moments where she was like, she did the bend over backwards crab walk
the crab
thingy.
thing, yeah. And she kind of twisted around as well. It was like, ooh.
Twisted. And there was that moment where she was like in the corner of the room, or like crushed. And then like Constantina's out, which calls back to the backstory where she's been crushed by the elevator. So they did pretty well there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Based on a real urban legend.
Yeah.
Real urban legend's a bit of an oxymoron, but it's fine. The face prosthetics pulled me out a bit. It was just like it was shoved on there. So it was, I guess it's meant to be sunken eyes, but also the mouth was further back than the face, so that didn't make any sense, and sort of, it looked more like a mask.
Yeah, that dropped me out completely. I mean, that's when it came into visuals, but...
okay.
But yeah, for me, I just put the ghost makeup as awful for the visuals, because that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was
the ghost doesn't play fair.
No.
Which leads me to believe that there is no way to beat it, which means it's unstoppable in that sense. Because how do you stop something that's unstoppable? How do you stop something that doesn't play fair?
Just don't play the game.
Yeah, and that's kind of most of the way that the sort of the villain kind of rating for me went up.
Yeah.
Because it's not playing by rules. It's like Jason, you can't kill Jason. Freddy goes in the dreamland. Michael Myers, the boogeyman, you can't stop him. They don't play by the rules. Of life, of physics, of biology. And that, to me, kind of is like, oh, okay, this makes it a bit more of an imposing threat. And it makes it more, I can get behind this, I can get invested in this. And then, as you say, the distorting and the body and that kind of stuff is really cool.
Cool. Visual then. Some interesting camera angles were used. And to not, like, I know some of the films we've looked at before had interesting camera angles, but this was actually did have some good camera angles. It drove me crazy when they were using the cameras to film each other. And the guy who was helping and had heads cut off, I was like, okay, he hasn't done this before, fine. But then they go to the other guy's camera who's filming and has been part of this group for ages, and he's cutting heads off. And it's like, that's not how they would do it.
Our heads aren't cut off right now.
No, it's like, it doesn't take much, especially when they made it clear they've got a monitor so they can see what they're filming. So,
and those are professional cameras as well.
Come on, guys. So it's just made to look more amateur than it should have, I suppose.
Amateur hour doesn't begin to cut it.
No. But yeah, other things like the hand through the neck, face, whatever, crushed woman, looked great. And the other thing I put down for visual was in the red world, where instead of having a sun, it's that red
The
X
X.
in the sky.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's an interesting choice. And then later on, it sort of reveals that that's what the bottom of the elevator looks like from underneath. And like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a really nice touch.
So yeah, I've got the X in the sky. That looked really cool. Looked really
Yeah.
imposing and unnatural. Obviously, it's like, oh, what is that? Is that a cut in the dimensions? Is that
Yeah.
how it's going? But obviously, as you say, it's still
From
the
her point of
elevator.
view.
Speaking of the elevator, I did like the shots of the mechanics of the lift work.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was really nice to fill some of that gap where there's obviously dead space and dead time in the film.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, going up and down the floors. Yeah, the ghost makeup was awful. It seems that the budget was mainly in the last third.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of scrimped and saved and did absolute naff stuff in the first sort of 2/3 of the movie, and then when the red will kicks in, boom! It just sort of the budget exploded with it, as you say, with the apart from the hand with the throat face, whatever it was. The one visual I did kind of like, even though the ghost makeup does look really crap, was when he's in the bus stop.
Yes.
And she's just there laying
Oh,
on top, and
yeah.
he looks up and you just see her, and it's
That was
like,
good.
oh god, you could just imagine yourself at night waiting at a bus stop, looking up and seeing something doing that, and it's like, oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that visual.
Run.
I like that one.
Yeah. So-
Final thoughts on that one?
Not a great film, but did have some redeeming factors. So, I mean, it's a bit of a laugh if you're into naff films.
Yeah.
Some
yeah.
people are.
It's
you know.
a lot of people class this as B horror. I'd probably class it as D horror.
If you want a horror film to laugh at, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So next film was released literally a few days later on the 19th September, and it is titled "No One Will Save You." So it's a very brief synopsis, mind you, but I'll read it anyway. So an exiled, anxiety-ridden homebody must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. Bit of an oversimplification, but
That's sometimes good though.
Yeah.
So you don't. This kind of film you don't want to know too much about before.
no.
Because it's
and
all in
I
the
don't think you
reveals.
saw a trailer for this.
I don't think so.
And I kind of saw a bit of this and I was like, I'm chucking this on the list, and this is not going off the list at all. This is staying on the list because it's the only film that we've got that deals with aliens, extraterrestrials.
Yeah. Spook/go factor. I mean, it's great. The tension and the unease portrayed in the film, really good. You're seeing everything, not like physically from the perspective of the woman, but you're definitely in her shoes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that you don't really know what's going on for a lot of the time because she doesn't know. So it builds up that unease as you go through.
It's kind of like, it's like Tanner with gaming. It's like Last of Us or God of War. Everything is filmed from the perspective of that one character.
Yeah.
And you never leave that character's side. And it's an effective storytelling mechanic.
Yeah, definitely. As the other thing that sort of adds to that tension is when you realise that some of the people in the town are on the side of the aliens.
Body snatched?
Or body snatched. And they've got the weird thing in their throats that you can see. And then you realise that you don't know who you can trust.
Yeah.
And that just, like the
It
title
ramps
suggests,
it up, yeah.
no one's gonna save her. She's
Yeah.
completely isolated and on her own.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that aspect. It was good. I don't think
Yeah.
there was much gore.
There was a bit.
There was
There's some, yeah. I mean, in terms of the spook factor, the one thing I was surprised about is there were less than like 10 minutes into the movie and you've already seen the alien in his full glory, and I'm like, what? Okay, what? And then she kills it, and it's like, what? How is this going to escalate from here? But it does. It ramps up so hard. The little crouching alien thing, that was nuts. That looked crazy as hell. It was like a little aggressive ball of hate or something. That was quite intimidating, I felt. It was more, as you say, it was more tense than spooky or gory.
Yes.
But then if you've got something from another planet trying to chase you and hunt you down, that is, I guess you could kind of see it as spooky in a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
The gore was there, but it was used very sparingly.
Yes.
Which is really cool. Obviously, she cut her head. She had the thing slammed into it. Wasn't there a point where she had cut the back of her leg? They didn't really show that. No.
But you could feel it.
Yeah. But it's I thought it was really well done. The tension on it was just like super.
Yeah, definitely. All right, story.
Yeah.
This was a really interesting take on an alien invasion movie. It's sort of different, quite original, I think, the way that it was done. I like that you sort of piece together the story from like flashbacks or just from implied things in the environment, like seeing the gravestones, or you've got the woman who spits at her kind of thing, and you're like, it's just, there is very little dialogue. I think there's one line, but
there's a total of 5 words.
5 words. But you still piece it all together, and I mean, that storytelling is great.
Someone's going to sort of have seen the film and say, well, there's more than 5, and they kind of, there is and there isn't, because they kind of like, oh,
yeah, no,
it's kind of like that, and that doesn't count. There's literally, I'm sorry, Maud, and then I'm sorry a few minutes later, and it's like, that's it.
That's all the...
And it comes to the point then, you think, is she a mute? And there's one of the points, because we were like half hour into the film, and I'm like, is there any dialogue in this film at all?
So I've gone into that mostly in the sound bit, but it does come into the story. Because it's the way the story's portrayed.
Yes.
Really well done. And the ending... great.
Yeah.
Surprising. I didn't expect it to end like that, but I mean, it's a happy ending, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the first 20 minutes I put is calm to chaos in like drop of a hat.
And then it goes chaos to calm in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it kind of peaks and troughs a lot through this film.
Yeah.
Then she's trying to get out of the town when she realizes that no one's going to save her. There's aliens on the bus, and it's like, wait, is the whole town in on this?
Yeah.
And I've actually put that there, and it's and then obviously the long arms with the long armed one trying to communicate, and it's almost like the
semaphore kind of.
Yeah, it's like the flag wavers for planes and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, and then the end of it, they sort of, again, spoilers, but they kind of seem to just want to sort of help her get past her issues.
They just want everyone to be happy. That was my take. They just want everyone happy.
And it's like, what the hell? I get the feeling that the town had their own selfish means, but she was so cut up about her friend's death that they were like, oh, we can't do this to her. Let's just give her what she wants. Let's give her a peaceful life. And that's kind of what I think it sort of leads on to. Kind of creating the town as a little world for her, sympathy of what she's been through. And that kind of is hinted in the beginning when she gets that little model town and she's building this little town for herself. And it's almost like the aliens kind of saw that and they're like, that's what she wants, let's give it to her.
Give her a model.
That's kind of what I felt.
Yep. All right. Sound.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like we said, very little dialogue, but there was dialogue in a way.
Just not human.
The aliens communicating with each other with all the like clicks and whistles and the signals as well. But for this bit, the sounds that they made, you could almost guess what they were sort of trying to communicate. And the foghorn sound, they just had a variety. And it all sounded great.
Yeah.
There was a moment where she's trying to sort of fortify the house, and she's hammering the curtains to cover the windows because she's realised that light is kind of doing stuff, and it's in time with the music.
Yeah, I got that down.
It's a really nice touch. Yeah. Great. And the ships make noise as well. They're like built like speakers you recognise.
Yeah, it looks like a speaker cone. Yeah.
Which is unusually done.
And I like that they kind of obscure that until that very last couple of seconds, and it's like
it's all about sound.
Yeah. The music
well
played a really huge part, as you say, including the hammering of the thing. But the silence was also used to a really good effect.
Yes.
There was parts of it was deathly silent, and you're like, and it just ramps that tension. Like, the sound and the visuals working together.
With those kind of things, that tension and the silence, you find yourself holding your breath because you don't want to break the silence, or the aliens will get you. So,
which is why A Quiet Place is a dangerous film.
Yes.
But yeah, and again, sort of plays in the design of the ship with the guttural communication, because it's like the speaker, the diaphragm of the speaker cone is, and that's kind of, and when the aliens are speaking, kind of a bit more visual, you could see the neck vibrating and the sound waves traveling up and down. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
It's really well done. All right, acting, excellent.
Yeah.
The fact that she could, and the people in the town to a lesser extent, but the main character in particular, could express so much emotion and get that message across without using any words.
Yeah.
It's excellent. Nothing was lost in that.
Nope.
It was all through facial expression and her movements, it was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was really
good. I mean, nothing wrong with it at all. She did an absolutely superb job of carrying the entire film, pretty much.
Yeah.
Only find 5 words, as I said, throughout the entire thing, but yet nothing was lost in translation.
No.
And this is the kind of thing where I go, that was an absolutely outstanding performance. That's the kind of thing, like, this would be, in your terms, a Paul Hollywood handshake.
I was gonna
'Cause
say we could get something with the Alan clap, but it just sounds a bit wrong.
Yeah,
so.
please don't. I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Like, I don't think I recognise this actress either. So I don't know what else she's been in, but she's going to go far.
Yes.
Absolutely is going to go far after this performance. I thought it was superb. Superb.
Really good. Villain. So the first alien that we saw, I was like, oh, he's a classic alien.
Classic grey man.
Classic alien.
Yeah.
And then you saw the feet. And the feet are more like hands. So it was like walking up on his little legs had legs.
His little fingers, finger feet.
So weird. And then you see other ones, and they're all different. They're all different in terms of how long each limb is.
The little aggressive ball reminded me almost like of a chimpanzee or something.
Yes, because he was like climbing up walls and like
small, very compact, but powerful.
He had small limbs, and then you had the one that had I think he had regular sized legs but big arms.
Yeah, that was the one doing the semaphore stuff.
Yeah, and then you had the one that had the really long legs and the really long
climbing
legs.
on top of the houses, like, oh my god.
But I love that they sort of weren't all powerful.
No.
When the very long limb one got into the car,
yeah,
he was coming down off the house and he fell off the house because clumsy with that limbs.
Yeah.
Maybe not used to Earth's atmosphere. So they weren't like. They were scary, but not like all powerful.
It almost humanized them.
Yeah.
It kind of gave them that weakness of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're not omnipotent. They're not overly powerful. They're just something trying to do whatever they've come to do.
Yeah. And there was that question throughout about what the motive would be of these things. It's like, well, they're in their house, but are they just like being curious? Because they were like looking through papers and looking at the photographs and stuff. But also, they seemed to be quite aggressive when they realised there was a living thing in the house. But then when the sort of parasite
I think we
young
kind of as a
thing,
parasite or a symbiote.
Went into the main character. Bryn, that's right, because it sounds like a man's name. She was transported to like a place in her head where she would be happy, where her friend was still alive and all her stuff was still there. So was it really
and that's the only time the dialogue came out.
Yeah. So were they out to make things bad, or were they trying to just make people happy, or did they just want her to be a tool, her body, but wanted to make sure that she was happy inside? And then at the end, when they see it's revealed what happened when she was a child and the aliens see that, and then like you said, they sort of let her go, and then she has a happy life with potentially parasited people. Yeah. But she's happy. So are they all that bad, really?
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting take that you don't really know what they're doing and why.
I did like the sort of the beginning of it. You kind of one of my first note is, are the aliens the villain or is it the woman herself? Because it kind of felt like, is she the one in the wrong here?
Yeah. Is there a reason she's like this?
Yeah.
Because she's living a very old-fashioned life, but it's clearly
almost.
In the present day, which was also interesting.
Yeah.
That should come into story.
Sorry. Yeah. And then like, was there a true villain? Because obviously, if they were just trying to help her, then there's not really a villain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all those other people seemed very happy at the end. So.
Yeah.
All right, visuals.
Yep.
Really good.
Yep.
Loved it. We had some light shows in clouds, which was nice.
Reminded me of Independence Day.
Yeah.
Which is probably the right thing, because I'm assuming something that big in the atmosphere probably would cause a lot of cloud disruption and sort of smoky effects, or whatever you want to call it.
I did wonder for a bit whether they wouldn't actually show the ships if it was just going to be the clouds, but that wasn't the case. And similar to how the aliens were at the start, when you see the ship, you're like, oh, it's just a classic flying saucer. But there is more to it, and it has that. It was working like a speaker and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like they've taken something that we're all familiar with and just elevated it. It's really well done. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like how some of the best Japanese horror works. You take a videotape, you put a curse on it, boom, everyone knows what videotape is.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same sort of symbolism for that. You take
something
something that everyone knows and make
turn it into something else.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Angels in Doctor Who. Statues everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other bit I noted was, I think it might be the first time we really saw the tractor beam kind of thing come through the house.
Or the force push, I think.
When the woman is holding a saucepan and it gets half of it is just crushed flat against the wall and she's still holding it, and I thought that was such a good effect.
Yeah, that was
Just
awesome.
just to demonstrate the power of this thing.
Yeah.
Without killing her.
Yeah. No, yeah, I had the same thing with that. Yeah, straight in with the awesome looking alien. I was afraid it was just going to be a normal standard grey man alien, but obviously with the different limbs and the different types and the finger feet and whatever. That was great. The alien had a fun way to turn around because it kind of when this is sort of upstairs in the bedroom and she's hiding from it, one of the normal ones, and it kind of jerks its neck right around and it kind of just contorts its body around and it's almost like turning around without turning around. It was like, oh, that was weird. Almost like a T-1000 from Terminator.
Yep. I did wonder whether they were controlled by these parasite thingies or if they were like they're young. I don't know.
But then they were kind of spitting them up, so I think they're more like they're young. But yeah, and it was superb all round. I haven't got any faults to speak with any of the visuals of this. It was a visual feast. It was amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Would recommend.
Final thoughts, Alan?
Excellent. Loved it.
Would recommend.
Would recommend. I've already said my final thoughts.
Cool. So then, literally like 10, 11 days later, whatever it was, I can't math right now, the 28th of September, dropped on Amazon Prime, Totally Killer. Second of our comedy horrors.
Yes.
So, again, the synopsis. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first murder spree to claim another victim, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can start. Speaking of men's names. Rude.
Okay, so spook/gore. Not exactly a scary film, this one.
No.
It's a interesting take on a slasher.
Yeah.
Which we viewed. There wasn't much gore either. There was definitely stabbing and you saw it, but not like
overtly over the top.
gory.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. Good tension building as well in it.
Yeah.
Which was good. But nothing standoutish, horror-y.
We should probably rename this category to tension/gore.
Yeah, we might have to put tension.
Maybe next year.
Spook/gore/tension.
Yeah, I put the same sort of. There wasn't really much in the two ways of gore. So much so that when the dodgeball hit that girl's face and the tooth flies out, you wouldn't really see all this blood coming out. It was just saliva with a bit of blood.
Yeah.
That actually felt more realistic to me than having someone go smack, blur, spitting out loads of blood.
Yeah.
So that kind of led into that tension and the kind of reality of that for me. I thought that was really well done. The stabbings were brutal, obviously. The Sweet 16 killer stabs the victim 16 times. And he's going for it.
He's like,
oh my God.
going like different parts of the body.
Well, with the waterbed, he sort of grabs her, pulls her over and starts stabbing her right in the back. And the sign's like, oh, that's brutal. Okay, that's cool.
Like he wants it to be clear that there are 16.
Yeah. I thought they really sort of worked well with some of those.
Yeah.
And then when they sort of the end sort of bit where the killer's in the old time on the TV and the TV thing's going, he walks past the guy with the news anchor and just stabs him straight in the head, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. I thought that was really cool, yeah, because it was like an unflinching move. It was like, right, I want to kill this guy because I want him.
Especially when you find out who he was.
Yeah.
All right, story. Great. It was such an original take on slasher/time travel films, merging those two together in a way I didn't expect. Self-referential.
Yep.
Talking about there's like comments about how time travel movies never make sense and all this stuff. And they worked really well in sort of the rules of time travel to kind of explain it without going too in depth, and having at the end the book of like things that have changed was a really nice way of like resolving that. It's like, yes, things are different. Things are okay, but they're different, so you're going to want to read this.
Yeah, it's like she sat there talking to the person who helped her in the past, who's the best friend's mother. And it's like, this guy comes up and he's like, blah, 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 whatever he says, walks in, and she's like, who's that? And, oh, yeah, that's actually your brother. Wait, what? I thought that was really cool. Oh, by the way, your name's not Jamie. It's like, wait, what? Like, how things can change is great. I love that. It's a butterfly effect. I thought
really
it was
well
really
done.
good. The phone GPS location tracker I thought was really cool.
Yes.
That was a nice way to be like, hey, yeah, this phone is ideal, it's pivotal to this, and they kind of give that lifeline almost as the deadline. You need to be back by this point, otherwise you're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
The fight on the centrifugal motion ride, I've never seen something like that before. That was interesting.
Not sure how physically possible a lot of that stuff is, but this is fine.
But I thought it was pretty cool the way they did it.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no way out.
No.
and you're stuck on a wall. But yet this thing's trying to I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
And it kept you guessing as well.
Yes, it did.
I didn't really see the fact that it was the hall monitor guy.
No.
Because they never really give you all the information.
No.
And then it's like the typical airhead 80s, sort of mid to late 80s. Oh yeah, the girl who died in the crash was his girlfriend. Oh, that makes sense. And it's like,
why did you never tell us this?
Yeah. Oh, and I kind of liked that though. I kind of felt that okay, because you're kind of piecing it together. It's like, oh, is it this person, that person, this person, that person? Then it was like complete swiftball. Nope, none of those. We didn't give you everything. Haha, suck it. You know, I thought that was really cool. And then obviously having the second killer again. That was. But yeah, I thought that was really good. I thought, as you say, it was original. It was like Scream with a time travel twist.
Yes, and they did reference Scream.
Yes.
And it was 2 killers.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Sound. I didn't have much to note. The soundtrack was great.
Yeah.
And there were some good sound effects.
Yes.
Time travel sound is fun.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's
and the knife sounds. I thought the knife sounds all sounded superb.
Shrink.
I said there was nothing that really felt out of place because they could have accidentally slipped up with something, but they didn't. They kept it all time period-y.
Yes.
Which was really good.
Some tunes I did not expect to hear in a film.
Yeah. I thought I'd give this quite a good mark. So I really enjoyed that. I thought the song was great.
Nice.
Nothing much else to say on
that. Acting. It was pretty good. Nothing specific for me to note, but I did note the casting from the present day people to their past counterparts and the way they sort of flashed to show you who they were, and it's just that moment. It's like they actually look like they could grow up into that person. So the casting is excellent.
Casting was awesome. Speaking of casting, it was nice to see Madison from Fear the Walking Dead. So when she walked in, I was like,
you were.
But I sold her around. I think the main actress, I'm not sure what her name is, but she go really far. I do know that she did Netflix's Sabrina series a few years back.
Oh, yeah.
So I think she's really starting to go up in the world, as it were. So I look forward to seeing more stuff from her. She was really good. Really enjoyed that.
Awesome. Villain. Like we said already, it didn't fall into the obvious choices. Kept you guessing throughout, and there was a really good twist at the end. The mask is really weird. You were saying that it was reminiscent of the Max Headroom mask.
Yeah, so I looked into this. So I thought it looked like the Max Headroom mask. Anyone don't know what that is and want to know, look it up.
That's a rabbit hole.
But it's a tribute to Kiefer Sutherland, Rob Lowe, and Dolph Lundgren.
Okay.
All famous 80s actors. So they kind of took the three, they kind of put the face on the accentuated the teeth, and that's what it is.
Quite creepy. I did quite like that they had the story of, obviously in the present day, they're talking about how it happened previously and now it's a popular Halloween costume, which is kind of very much like Scream. But it's a fun trope, and they didn't play into that, the like, oh, you don't know who it's going to be. They didn't use that trope, which is good, but they still had that nod. Yeah, it was cool.
I think a decent motive. It kind of went the long way around about it.
Yes.
But it still made sense. It didn't get convoluted and felt flat. I didn't think that. And the 16 stabs, I thought that was a nice way. The 16 killer, they stabbed him 16 times. Yeah. It kind of all knits nicely into one sort of package. I thought it was really good.
And you killed my mum twice.
Yeah.
Oh no. Good stuff. All right, visuals. The time travel sequence. Really good.
Yes.
Just the colours and the.
And the whole bits flying apart behind her. Yeah.
Really well done. I don't know, it was all CGI probably, but it looked great.
I'd imagine so, yeah.
And the contrast between the past and the present done really well, with that focusing on the beaver character at the playground, who's like all decayed and has bird poo all over it and stuff, and then to the past where it's just bright and shiny, and the colour difference, the outfit choices and everything was done really well, just to show that difference in time. I should have probably mentioned, maybe in story, all the references to how problematic the 80s were. It's made me laugh so much.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, there's the racism. What was it? Fat something her name was? Fat Trish or something like that. Trish. And she's like, you can't call her that. Her name is Trish, not Fat. It's like, I thought it was really cool.
Anyway, I went off a tangent there. Talk to me about visuals.
As you say, the time machine stuff was really cool. Both the beginning one and the end one with the ride thing.
Yes.
So I lost marks on 2 points. Okay. The stabbing, the last time he stabs the girl when she's obviously on the floor, he's stabbing her, but it doesn't quite look like it. So there's the knife, there's the full blade. it looked like that much was going in.
Okay.
And it was
shallow
like,
stabs.
that looked a
I
bit.
didn't notice that.
And then the first time she sort of steps out of the time machine after going back in time was that fisheye lens.
Yeah, that was
That
weird.
was really, that was like, no, that is not a good choice. I
thought-
see why they did it. It was a tight, confined space. A fisheye lens makes everything look bigger, and you get a wider angle on it. But it failed.
I'd thought that they were like doing that because it was from her visuals, so it's a bit more like you're seeing it through her eyes sometimes if you use fisheye. But then it panned round and you saw her and it's like, oh no, never mind.
Yeah.
That theory's gone.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on that one?
It was a really fun film.
Yes.
I would watch it again.
Yeah,
definitely.
it was fun. I think it's definitely one of those films where you kind of could watch it a few times and get new things out of it every time.
Yeah, I think so.
Like little bits in the background happening and whatnot.
Yeah, it's fun. Watch it.
Cool. Right. Well, that covers all 16 movies. So, now we can finally reveal the final bracket in 3, 2, 1. There it is. That's our final bracket, ladies and gents. So, we're going to wrap this
look at
video... Oh, that's going against that. And that's... Oh, okay. That's cool. That's interesting. So, full disclosure with the brackets. I did pull out random names. I put them next to each other. But some films kind of lend going off against each other quite well, so I have jiggled them around a bit.
Yeah, some things it's just going to be too easy. You know?
Yeah. Like if you've got something like Elevator Game up against, like, I don't know, No One Will Save You.
Yeah, it's just a no-brainer.
You know,
so we want to make it interesting. So this is fun.
So I've tweaked it a little bit, but it was a random draw. As such, that this hot mess, this amazing, well, I say hot mess, this clash is going to culminate in next episode, in the part 5 of our 5-part series, in the finale, which will be dropping on Halloween. I'll try and get it out maybe sort of midday-ish, so anyone going trick-or-treating or doing any Halloween parties, you can watch it before you sort of go out and do your fun, spooky activities. Plus, we're going to be doing our own spooky activities on Halloween.
Yeah.
So
spooky.
So yeah, so look forward to that. And I'm going to throw it over to Leanne to take us home.
Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you so much. Please like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified when we drop new videos. Let us know in the comments below your opinions on these films if you've seen them. Yeah, be nice, but yeah, if you think there is an outright winner from the 16 films, let us know below and we'll see if that's different.
So let's play devil's advocate. Without saying any of the films, do you have one that you think, yes, it was that?
No.
Ooh.
Partly because I have a terrible memory, so I need to go back over my notes a bit, but this is fine. Follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram, X and Facebook. Our link tree's in the description below, which will take you directly to them. That's all the things that I need to say, but thanks again for being with us, and we'll see you in the finale. So until then, stay spooky.
Yep.
Bye.